World War One and World War Two, two controversial events that changed the course of United States history. Throughout both wars, the US played different roles and slowly developed into the world power that it is today. Through various years of struggling, fighting, and unity, America approached both wars in different ways. These are the differences of the United States between World War One and World War Two. The way that the United States entered both wars was very distinct. World War One was based on the sinking of the Lusitania and the Zimmermann Note. The Lusitania was a British ocean liner which was sunk by German U-boats on May 17, 1915. It sank after the attack and 1,200 people drowned, 128 of which were US citizens. At first, the US said it was not a reason for war, but later on admitted that it was one of the reasons for the entry of the war. The Zimmermann telegram was a note sent by Arthur Zimmermann, a German secretary, in January 16, 1917. It revealed a plan of Germany alliancing with Mexico and Japan if the US declared war on Germany. It promised Mexico financial support and help to recover former territories that the US had previously taken from them. British soldiers intercepted the message and sent it to the US, who were outraged and entered World War I immediately. It was the end of their neutrality, and finally, in April 6, 1917, the United States enters the war. In World War II, the United States did not enter until a late stage. They remained neutral, similar to World War I, until the attack on Pearl Harbor. The attack on Pearl Harbor was a Japanese surprise attack on December 7, 1941, to a naval base in Hawaii. Over 350 aircrafts were sent and damaged US battleships and aircrafts. The Japanese killed 2,403 men, and this outraged the United States. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the current president at the time of the attack, declared war on Japan December 7, 1941, literally the next day after the attack. During the war, the United States had to play different roles in order to help the Allies achieve victory. At the beginning of World War I, the US had a small army and had to draft. The US issued Liberty Loans bonds to help fund the war, since they did not have much economic help due to the Great Depression. The Red Cross was sent to Europe, and over 20,000 nurses were also sent with the soldiers to help the Allies. Women and African Americans had to increase their role for the home front and got more job opportunities and helped to serve in the army. The United States sent around 2 million troops to Europe and helped boost the morale for the Allies to win the war. Woodrow Wilson established his 14 points, which were the goals for the war, and the US Navy played a big role in blockading Germany and helping the Allies take back the territories. For World War II, the role was way different. The United States played a much bigger and needed role to help the Allies achieve victory, since Germany had taken over Britain and France, and they was very weak. Before the US joined the war, they helped the Allies financially. FDR passed the Lend-Lease Act, in which he aided Britain with ammunition, airplanes, trucks, food, and raw materials. Over the years, Great Britain grew weak economically and was not able to pay back immediately, and grew in debt. The home front was very important for the United States because women gained more opportunities, and they also helped make ammunition and supplies every single day. During the war, new technologies such as new aircrafts, the atomic bombs, and radars were invented, and this helped turn the tides of the war. In military engagement, the US played different roles. A huge army had been amassing in order to go and fight the war. America slowly became the largest military power in the world, consisting of 16 million men under arms. Soldiers were invading Axis territories for places like Africa all the way to France. The most important battle that changed the tides of the war was D-Day, or the Invade of Normandy. The Invade of Normandy took place June 6, 1944. It is the largest seaborne invasion in the history of the world, as 24,000 soldiers from the Allies took back France from the Axis powers. The United States also had to hold off Japanese forces in the Pacific. Battles such as the Battle of Midway helped the U.S. get to their goal of winning the war. The Battle of Midway and the Pacific War in general was an aggressive and intense battle in which the Japanese did not want to give up and surrender. Due to this, Harry Truman decided to drop atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki to finally end the war. So, in August 6 and August 9 of 1945, two atomic bombs were dropped and forced the Japanese to surrender right after. After both world wars, the United States had to find a way to rebuild and bring back the country to its normal state. This was not easy, as both wars had consequences that the US would face for years to come. After World War I, a period called the Roaring Twenties began in the United States. Later on, the country faced inflation and problems of the Great Depression due to the crash of the stock market. They did not face much political problems, though, and experienced prosperity. President Wilson wanted to help Europe recover from the economic and political crisis, but he did not sign the Treaty of Versailles. After World War II, the United States became a global influence economically and politically. A growth in media and unforgettable, terrible events such as the Vietnam War made the US embarrassed and had to face a lot of backlash. There was also a rise of movements that favored women and African American rights. And most importantly, there was the Cold War, the political conflict between the US and the Soviet Union over communism and democracy. In the Cold War, the US did everything they could to help countries not be influenced by communism through proxy wars and help the countries not fall into bad hands. They knew that this new rise of communism was a problem for the whole world, and they had to do anything to stop it, passing out doctrines that would give countries money and political help just if they did not accept communism. After 30 years of war, the United States were able to tear apart the Soviet Union and win the Cold War. Overall, the US was a key player in both world wars. Without American help, the Allied forces would have lost in both of the times, and who knows how the world would have been right now. All the experience economically, politically, and militaristically have helped the United States grow into the world power that it is today